Okay, so welcome to the virtual BFA. This is in lieu of our normal exhibition. And all of the seniors are going to be sharing a little bit about their work, and I'll be doing screen share and showing their images from my computer. If anyone has questions for any of the artists, you can send it to me via chat or send it to them via chat, and they can just respond to you that way if you want. We have a limited amount of time for each person today. So I'm going to introduce each person, and then they'll wave and say hi and just introduce themselves and their major, and then I'll turn my screen share on, and then they'll have a couple minutes to talk about their work that's on the slides. So this is a new thing, so we're all part of kind of a new initiative here with this. So our first presenter is Reagan Norwood. Reagan, I'm going to turn on your mic. All right, okay. You should be good.
Everyone can hear me? I don't know. Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. My name is Reagan, and I am a graphic design major. So, yeah.
Cool. I am going to do screen share here. Can y'all see that?
I can.
You can't?
No, I can.
Oh, you can. Okay. Go ahead. You go ahead and talk about your work.
Okay. So my first piece, which is the piece on the left, of course, it's supposed to be the other way around, but that's okay.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. It's a sculpture piece that I actually just did this semester. So it was the self-portrait, the first project, the only project we actually got done, unfortunately. But so I am a type 1 diabetic, which a lot of people are unfamiliar with really what it is. And for my self-portrait, I really wanted to incorporate that. So as you can see, half of my sculpture project is literal. I tried to do it like the best of my ability of what I look like. And I just used paint, and I had some hair extensions, so that worked out. But the other half, that's about a little over a month's worth supplies that I go through every single day. So what I wanted my piece to stand for was, okay, here's this girl on this side who looks great, you know, whatever. But I wanted to show the other side of what I truly go through every single day. Like, diabetes is my entire life. It's made me who I am. So I really wanted to show that through this piece. Anytime I'm able to bring awareness to diabetes and what I go through, I'm gonna do it. So for the self-portrait, that's exactly what I did. Those are just a bunch of vials. I know you can't really see, but it's just, I just wanted to show everyone kind of what I go through, because it's not really the first thing I tell people is like, oh, I'm diabetic. But yeah, and I went with a blue background because that blue is actually the color of diabetes awareness. So during critique in class, a lot of people complimented how well the blue looked, and I thought it worked out great. But it's also supposed to be wall hanging, which me and Jason, of course, didn't get to finish that. So it's supposed to be hung up on the wall, of course. But yeah, that was really my first piece that I think everyone loved. And I was glad I got to show like a part of who I am through this. So that wraps up that. And then the Lego car, that was actually just the graphic design class. I took it last summer. And we had to like pick the Lego. I think a lot of people are familiar with what we had to do. And luckily Lauren added the original photo. So I thought that was my best graphic design piece that I did during that class, because I was a beginner walking in there not even knowing Illustrator. So that was really fun. I went with the pink background because that's just my style. I'm really kind of girly. I love pink. So I just wanted to throw my twist on it. And yeah, that's it for both my pieces, I think.
Great, thanks, Reagan.
You're welcome.
Let's see here. Our next presenter is Dawn Myers. So.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, so my degree is for graphic design, and I have an art history minor. The piece that I am presenting today is inspired by, we had taken a field trip to NASA in my photojournalism class, and in combination with that, I'd also read an article online about there being more microplastic in the ocean than there are stars in the Milky Way. For this assignment, I used 3 different types of paint, acrylic, oil, and spray paint. I started with the texture, that's car wax that I melted and put onto the canvas and allowed it to drip down. Once that dried, I started in with the background with black acrylic paint. And to do that, I was inspired by a technique by abstract expressionist Jackson Pollock. One of the techniques he had used was a turkey baster. So I did a little bit of action painting. And so as that was on the table flat, it started creating these pools of liquid and eventually dripped over on the edges, creating these beautiful drip lines. And it gives it like a really nice contrast between the black paint and the untouched canvas. Next, I went in with copper spray paint and orange on top of that to give it like a nice glowing like sunset feel. For the Milky Way, that's oil paint. And I did some blending around the edges to give it a sense of transparency. And there's stars all through it with white acrylic paint. Oh, no, I'm sorry, oil paint. On the top, I went into some orange, and then the complementary on the bottom, it fades out to blue. It's kind of hard to see in the photograph. In the center, there is a little bit of pink with the titanium white to really help that hot spot pop. At the bottom, the silhouette is oil paint. I softened the edges to give it a sense of atmospheric perspective. And so looking at the texture in the Milky Way, it kind of looks like asteroids. And then when you move down into the metallic area, it kind of has the feel of like a meteor shower. And then on the silhouette area, it's kind of like a mountainous terrain with that texture. And so it's kind of like a combination of my interest for night photography. I like trying to take photographs of the moon, and but I also have an interest in sustainability. So I think this could be the start of a series. So that's all I have for you today.
Awesome, thanks, Dawn.
Thank you.
Okay, our next presenter is Brienne Thomas.
Hello, can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Let me go ahead and talk a little bit about your major, Brienne. I'm
Oh, okay.
Your image.
So I'm a graphic design major, and I guess that's my major.
Yep, okay.
Okay, so these are my pieces that I submitted. I'll start with the one on the left. That was a piece that I did for fibers. I was in advanced fibers. I had taken it for actually 4 semesters, so I was like super advanced fibers at that point. And one of the things I had always wanted to create was something that could be like a sculpture piece, but it also involved fibers and crochet and things like that. I'm a crocheter outside of school and things like that, so I wanted to make something that represented both aspects of school and outside of school. This piece took over a year, and I'm actually still adding to it. I took the rocks off later on, and I've kind of expanded it to get bigger, but my hope is to eventually like put it in an actual space where it can just live and be its own thing. On the back side of it, there's actually the octopus, and then on the front, there's the little clownfish. But yeah, so that's that piece. And then the one on the right, I wanted to do a, so this one was actually for an independent study that I did for graphic design. And one of my projects that I did was to design a packaging concept. And what I came up with was a cold brew company. And so I wanted to create something that was really modern. And it was kind of inspired by like the coffee companies you would see in like Austin and things like that. So I wanted to create something that could really like stand out on a shelf and be unique in its own. And so that's what I created there. And then these I actually made in my printmaking class, and it was part of a series of, I kind of did like an underwater theme that semester. And so these were etchings, and I did each one in a different color. And I just kind of experimented with color, and they were a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed making them.
Cool. Great. Thanks, Brianne.
Mm-hmm.
The next presenter is going to be Alejandro Ramos.
Hello.
Hey, Alejandro.
Hello, good evening. Do I start off with my major?
Yeah.
Okay, so my major is graphic design, just like most of the people in the class. So, and interestingly, both of the works that were accepted to the BFA show didn't contain any graphics, anything based on the computer. It was all hands-on. So the first one on the left is a brake rotor and a brake caliper. I made that in my first semester taking advanced ceramics. So the rotor was thrown on the wheel, and the brake caliper that was molded by hand. And instead of glazing it, I decided to spray paint it a metallic color so that it almost looks like the real thing. So that's why the rotor looks metallic, looks silverish, like silver, and the brake caliper was spray painted with a gloss red, because those components tend to be glossy. And the one on the right, I used one of those old projectors that we used to have in school back then, where it, like, it mirrors an image through a light, something like that. So I traced out the picture. So first I used a picture of this car. It was the actual photo of the car from top view. I then did an outline. I traced it, and then I separated the colors with different layers of plywood. So for the highest level on one of these would be maybe 4 layers of plywood, and that's just to kind of show a little bit of depth. But it's only it's meant to show the different colors and values. It's 3D work, but it's at most it's 4 inches thick, and it would be mounted on a wall, and you would have to step back maybe 10 feet to get the picture, and then maybe you'll be able to notice, oh, it's a car. Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Alejandro.
That's right.
All right. Our next presenter is going to be Daryl DeLara.
Hey guys, can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So my major is graphic design and I do have a video production minor, and as you can see it in my background, it's like a video running. It's kind of a virtual background. And yeah, that's it.
Daryl, do you want me to show your images first and you can talk about them and then we'll show the short film?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so these two short films were made in a video production one class, I think a couple semesters ago. The one on the left is an urban legend. I was really into like folklore, creepypastas, like horror stories posted on the internet. And growing up, I was really scared of them. But for some reason, as I was like got older, I got really into horror. So and really liked horror movies. So I tried making one myself, and then I was like, oh, okay, so for video one class, let me try to make these horror movies. And so an urban legend is kind of inspired by those campy horror movies. Like there's teenagers, college kids, they're like, oh hey, there's this ritual thing, and then let's go do it. Maybe it's not real, but it turns out it was real. And then there's this guy called Helmet Face. We can see that he's wearing a helmet in his face, just shows up and starts killing everyone. And the one on the right is it's supposed to be an ad that we have to make for video production one, but I turned it into some kind of short film like you would see in those Super Bowl commercials where nothing really is what it seems, but oh hey, it's a commercial for that kind of company. So for this one, I just made up a company called Plain Orange, and they distribute orange. And it starts out as this guy is about to kill someone, but in the end, he was just cutting orange. Yeah. So which one are you gonna show?
I'm going to show plain orange.
Okay.
Ah, okay. Yeah, give me just a second to bring it up here. Okay. Can you still see that? All right.
No.
You can't see it?
No.
Hang on, sorry. I'm still learning this Zoom thing. All right, now can you see it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was that. I really tried hard to make it kind of subversive, and I think I did that.
Yeah.
Yes.
No. Thanks, Daryl. Do you want to talk any more about either of your films? Or I wish we had time to show both of them, but we're kind of in a crunch, so.
I think that's all I can talk about those films.
Cool.
Okay. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Daryl.
Thank you.
All right, our next presenter is Rachel Haufler. Let me get you pulled up here, Rachel. I'll unmute you.
Hi.
Hey.
Okay. Hello, I'm Rachel Haufler. I am a graphic design major. So.
Okay.
Okay. This was actually a sculpture project for my sculpture class, we had to do a self-portrait sculpture. So when I created the mold of my face, the first thing I wanted to do was break it. So I decided I would go with that idea and see where I would go with it. Sorry. So I decided to put it with a sketchbook of my characters, because that's what I like to do, is draw characters and illustrations, and that's what I think most of who I am is, in a way, I guess. So I feel like this could be interpreted in two ways. One, that my art keeps me stable and keeps me together, and two, that there's a piece of me in my characters, in my work. So that's why it's called art therapy. And these two, the one on the left, that was actually for my independent study, where I have to make 2 movie posters. And I just wanted to draw my characters again and experiment with different colors using Autodesk Sketchbook, which I am more familiar with, as I've been working with that for many years. And then the one on the right is actually the back cover of a comic I had to make in my graphic novel design class. And I really love how that came out. So, yeah.
Cool, thanks, Rachel.
Mm-hmm.
All right, our next presenter is Fabian Brims.
Already?
Already.
Okay, well, okay. I thought my slot is 4:40, but it's fine. I'm ready. Yeah, I'm Fabian Brims. My major is graphic design. And so I traditionally come from filmmaking and video making, but the last years I really shifted more towards graphics. And at the moment, I really enjoy doing books at the most. So to come to my projects, this is like a project I did graphic typography class at U of H. This is typography coasters that has like on one side the letter in a certain font, and on the back it explains like what font it is and who invented it and when. And there's also like a little, like the baseline, the X height, and the full cap height. I'm not sure what the right term is right now. Just to like point out certain details about the letter. If something doesn't line up at the bottom, for example, often like a letter like it crosses the baseline and stuff like that. So like little details I wanted to point out with that. And I did it to by printing out those letters on photo paper and then glued it on both sides on a PVC board, and then gave it like an extra coating of clear coat to like just make it more like durable, since it's like coasters. They should be like not fall apart once you put like a wet glass on it. And of course 24 of them, like the alphabet. So this is a fun project that was, like I called it Houston Graffiti Map. So I, like the idea kind of came from like, on one end from the Houston map, which I one day looked at and was like, hey, that kind of could be put into like a continuous pattern, with a little tweaked a little bit. And at the same time, I had this idea about like making a graffiti stained glass window kind of thing from these like old churches. I'm from Europe, and like we always have everywhere these like churches with beautiful windows. That was one inspiration. And so like I created this like Houston map thing on a lino cut and then printed it all over this fabric, and then printed out pieces of Houston street art I photographed, printed out on fabric, and sewed that onto these maps, kind of like to mimic like a map, kind of like a mark on a map or something like that. And that was fun to make. Like the first and last time I used a sewing machine, but actually it was better than expected. So yeah. Then on the right side, we have the skull. This is like a contact sheet. For those that don't know, like in analog photography, like you make like a contact sheet where you have like a little, kind of like a thumbnail of every picture printed on one sheet of like not paper, but like this like printing paper thing. And like the assignment there was like to create something like with those single pictures, and I made a skull. So all these are like pictures I just took like looking down at the concrete floor, and then when you see like the round of the eye, that's like half of a bucket, and then the mouse is also like just like a square formed shaped bucket. I found like these are just like photos of basically like lights and shadow, and when put all together on this contact sheet, it creates like this skull. So that was also quite fun. I also have a version of every single picture printed out in like 8.5 by 11, so that fills the whole wall when I hang that up. Yeah, the next page, please. Yeah, this is my process book. The process book, we had a graphic design programs class that taught us After Effects, Illustrator, Photoshop, and InDesign. And like the last project of that class to facilitate InDesign was like to make this process book with all the projects we did. And that includes the project on the right, which is called Borderline. It's like a hybrid collage, which means like part of it is like actual collage, glued paper together. And then there's another layer of just like digital collage, which is like the barbed wire and fences and more images of refugees, because that's what the collage is about. And in the end, I gave it like this red square, like a handmade mark that also has like some symbolism to it. And to come back to the process book, like that was really fun to make, because like I took a lot of images like of the process of making my projects and kind of bitmapped them, or like what's the word, half-toned them. And then I have like this cohesive theme of like those half-tone images that go throughout the book, and it gives it like a nice cohesive theme. And like I said in the introduction, like at least at the moment, I enjoy the most like making like little zines and books. I'm working on a 500-page book right now, which is tougher than I thought at first. And yeah, I really enjoy that. So like doing zines, makes all kinds of stuff that include layout and typography and all that is like really fun to me. And I hope once I get my degree, this will be something I land a job in, to make books, as long as they still exist.
Thanks, Fabian.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you all.
All right, the next presenter is Saul Montalvo. Saul, I'm trying to find Saul on here. I don't see him. I'm gonna go on to Cameron Smith.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. I had to find something because my computer microphone doesn't work. So I am an art and design major, but I did a concentration in graphic design, and my minor is art history. I guess I'll start with the left. Seems to be the pattern. That one's called Ravenous. It's a print from a copper plate etching that we did with aqua tint for printmaking. I really wanted to do something where I could use the copper plate, I felt like, to its full potential and actually get a lot of detail out of something. And so I picked an animal that had a lot of fur and still some different textures where it would have teeth and things that weren't a bunch of tiny lines. It was really fun, even though it was really complicated. I had never done a copper plate etching except for the small one we did before this. So I was really excited that this one got picked, actually, because it's surprising what you look back on and you're like more proud of because you spent the time and the effort on it then. So that's about it for that one. And then the one on the right is called Under, Over, and Through, and it's the last sculpture that I got to do in class with Jason. And I had gotten really frustrated with the project before this one because it didn't come out at all like I wanted it to, even though I tried to plan it. Things happen. So I made something smaller because it's not always about the size of the object. It's more about how clean you can make it if that's what you're going for, and how well you can get all the details in that you want to. And so we had a discussion about things to think about when you make sculptures, because it's not my focus. It was a class that I wanted to take because I really like studio art. And some of the things that we talked about focusing on are what you can do with an object, like what's underneath it, can you go underneath it, can you go through it, can you go over it? And so I tried to make something that encompassed as many of those points of interest as I could. And I was really happy with the way that it turned out. And also like pleasantly surprised that this got picked because, again, like sculpture isn't what I was going for as my focus, but I really enjoyed it a lot. So it's nice to see that, say, just things we enjoy doing can still become like really nice works of art to look back at. That's about it.
Great. Thanks, Cameron. Okay, the next presenter is Ethan Duke. Ethan, I don't see Ethan Duke on here. Oh, hang on just a second, guys. All right, Aksa, I'm gonna move on to you. Aksa Qureshi?
Yes. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, great. I'm a graphic design major and I'm a minor in art history and marketing. So in my artist statement, I talk a lot about my culture and just my identity. So the best way to show my identity is a picture of me. So I did 3 different types of line drawings of myself. The first one, so each one has different layers. So the first one has 3 layers, the second one has 6 layers, and the last one has 9 layers to it. So the first one is, I just made it sort of flat. And the second one, I added more detail. And then the last one, obviously you can see it's pretty crazy. Yep. I don't know what else to say.
All right, thanks, Aksa.
Yep.
All right, the next presenter is I might have to go with Eve because I don't see. Oh wait, there's Ethan. Ethan, I'm gonna go with you because you I think just popped on there, so you should be unmuted now.
Hi. Sorry, I wasn't able to hear earlier. I was having technical difficulties.
No worries. I'm gonna get your image up here. Can you just say briefly what your major is?
My major is graphic design, and these 2 pieces actually came as a result of a lot of different factors. So it's obviously me, or like my faces. My original plan was to make a 3D model of my head and then go in and do a bunch of real crazy effects, like make myself out of wires, make another version of myself out of gold, like showing different various extremes of my different personalities. But it turns out when I went to go do that, I took way too few pictures. I took around like 20, whereas what I needed was like 100. And so I figured, hey, I have these photos of myself, surely I can use them for something. And then I learned this process via like YouTube tutorials, this way of vectorizing and like coloring my face, or any image rather. Basically what I did was you do an oil paint filter, you select the highlights, the midtones, and the shadows, and you make them all into separate layers. And then you fill in those layers with the desired colors. And I was like, okay, this is cool, but how can I like push it? Because like just this, it's not really like doing anything big or bold. But then I found I was going through the library and I found this book. It's called geek art and anthology of art, design, illustration, and pop culture. And the front cover of it is basically like that pixel stretch effect, but with Mario's face. And I was like, oh, I bet I could replicate that, an interesting effect. And that was, as it turns out, like the piece that really ties all of them together. I'm really proud of how they turned out. I wasn't really going into it with any clear like idea or motif, but like once I stood back and really absorbed it, I was like, wow, like this is like it just represents like what I'm. How do I put this?
Like the mood that you were going for, or?
Yeah, I mean, I've been sort of trying to like find my my holistic style. Like if there was something that I could like posit myself as, like throughout this whole experience, like since I've been at UHCL, I've been constantly trying to find my sort of niche that I could fill. Like if anybody would ask, hey, like what do you do? I'm like, oh, I'm a graphic designer. It's like, oh, okay, so what's your signature style, or what type of illustrations do you make? I'm like, anything, everything. Like I didn't want to tie myself down to one specific thing, but I think this is sort of Marilyn Monroe pop art. Yeah, that's big. Yep. Yeah, like an Andy Warhol sort of pop art style. I think it's the type of thing that I gravitate towards, and so I tend to end up making things like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like this is reminiscent of your work though, because I've seen your other pieces on your website and stuff. This feels like it fits. I want to also show your graphic or your work on the postcard, because this was to be our postcard for the show, and Ethan designed this. So I just wanted to share this with everybody too, so that you could see how awesome this was going to be as a postcard.
I mean, it's still awesome, like as a digital image.
It is awesome as a digital image. Cool. Thanks.
Thank you, Alyssa. Thank you. Thank you for listening to my ramblings.
No problem. That's what we're here for. All right, let's see. Eve, are you ready? I'm gonna go with you here. We're gonna go down the list a little bit. You are unmuted. I can't hear you though. We're gonna have some technical problems with Eve's computer. We will try back. Rodrigo? Let's see. Rodrigo, you there?
Mm-hmm. What's up?
All right. You're up.
Okay. Hey, how's it going? I'm Rodrigo Gamarra. I'm a Bachelor of Fine Arts with a studio concentration with a minor in art history.
Sorry, I'm going to scroll through a couple of these because we're off a little bit. So here we go.
Cool. So this one's Silla Descansando. It's a partially reconstructed chair inspired by Salvador Dali's Vera armchair. In this sculpture, I kind of recycled the back piece and the back legs of a broken chair I found at Goodwill. And then I try to like make the front legs kind of contour the shape of the back legs as well. And then using like a sheet of steel, I made these hands based on my hands and kind of hammered them out. I attached the bottom sheet plate so the hands don't split when you sit on it, because it actually works. I think about 200 pounds so far I was able to put on it, because my dad kind of stood on it and I was able to stand that. So I feel like that's the limit right now. So for my next piece, so the one on the left here, that's Louis the Lagamorph. His just basically also silk scraps when I was learning how to weld. Kind of just grabbed a bunch of pieces and just kind of stuck them together to see how I could make a form. What else can I say about that? The hordes were kind of fun to make. They were kind of difficult, but I mean, it kind of worked out. I didn't really know where to put them on there or not, but I think they came out nicely. The hands of this piece actually inspired the hands on my last piece, so that was that. And the one on the right there, that's Crania. That's the first bronze piece that I made in Jason's class with the lost wax casting method. It originally had a different base, but it was just really flat. So whenever I was trying to get like this, like the sheet of wax for this piece, I came with this kind of drippy pattern, which actually looked a lot better than the original base that I came up with. So it would stand the piece up. Next piece. So the one on the left here, that's El Duomo de Lantano, which is my first attempt at doing a lino cut. Yeah, I believe it's a 15 by 21, and it's a print based on a picture that I took one afternoon while I was studying abroad in Florence back in fall 2018. It features Giotto's bell tower in the background that's in front of the Duomo in Cathedral. I felt like it was kind of really fun to recreate because it kind of had like a certain depth to it. And I was able to show like really strong dark colors in the front, like on the sides also, and just kind of keep it plain in the back without losing too much depth. On the right side, I have La Pieta, which is my version of it. While I was over there in Florence, I kind of got inspired by a lot of like Renaissance art, and that kind of made me always want to create a Pieta, but I never really knew what kind of medium to create it in. So I kind of felt like lino cut was kind of a nice way to keep changing it up, even if I wanted to in the future. Because I feel like I could still do a couple more cuts into it and reprint it a couple more times if I really wanted to. I kept his face blacked out because I just felt like I couldn't really captivate his image, or I wouldn't really want to, or actually, but and yeah, that's about it. I believe that's a 24 by 30. It's back there actually. That's all.
22 by 30 probably.
Yeah, 22 by 30. Yeah, probably.
Yeah, it's impressively sized. So. Cool. Thanks, Rodrigo.
Yeah.
All right. I think Saul is here. Saul, I got you unmuted.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, perfect. And I was freaking out because I couldn't figure out how to work this.
You're good.
But yeah, I'm ready.
All right.
Hello, guys. Saul, Montalvo. Nice to meet y'all.
All right.
All right. All right. So this is my piece. I did it in digital photography. So starting off with the photo, it was during a project when we had to do, we had to mess around with color changing. So I decided to focus on someone's eyes. And my model here is actually one of my family members. He has a set of eyes that typically change when you go out, and when the sunlight hits, his eyes tend to change color. So I really wanted to get that. So originally, when I took this photo, it was in color. So when I presented it to Lauren, she actually suggested and gave a good idea, see if it would, how it would look in black and white. So I messed around with it in Photoshop, and it actually came out really, really nice. Now, as far as what I did with the photo, I didn't really do that much changes because it was completely in focus. But I did go into Photoshop and I did I took out some blemishes, kind of made the eyes sharper to make it a little bit more focused. But other than that, I didn't really do that much of a change because the overall focus was in the eyes. Now, this is the only piece that did get selected. I did have other black and white photos that I wanted to do, but unfortunately they got blurry once I printed them out. Now, the original plan for what I wanted to do with this photo was I really wanted it to print it out in a really big size and frame it. But, you know, unfortunately, things happened and we won't be able to do that. But other than that, I don't know what else to say. Overall, I really enjoyed the process. I really like taking photos of people and a landscape. And I really, really like taking photos of people's expression. Sometimes when you take photos of a person and they're not really posing, it just comes off as an expression. It really shows off like their natural facial expressions, and sometimes it comes out really nice. But as for the name that I chose, because this piece is called Eclipse, I kind of just went with the overall look because of the shading and the sun, because this was taken outside. So I kind of went with like Eclipse for the shading. That. And do you have any questions? Kind of running out of ideas.
No, that's all right. That's perfect. Thanks, Saul.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I saw Joaquin on here. All right. Hey, Joaquin.
Hey guys, how you doing? Can you hear me?
I'm gonna get your image pulled up here. Just give me a second.
Hey, so been a minute. Hope you are doing well. So yeah, this is a monotype series that I made in the winter of 2019. Originally, I didn't have a plan to go with it, and I decided retrospectively to call it a self-portrait because looking deeper into it and how it flows and everything else, it eventually just kind of thought of it as a representation of my mental process. I went with very organic shapes in a very, I guess, chaotic manner, to the point where it could reflect the ups and downs of emotional states or just basic thought process and stuff like that. The lines going in and out of it, representing like realities or like a rigid statute that you had to follow. I decided to add a little bit of variation to it from like very harsh or like very subtle details to again further accentuate and to continue playing around with the process that is monotype. I very much enjoyed monotype, and that was a process that I had a lot of fun with last semester. Yeah, definitely last semester. Within the piece, this next piece, yep. No, you're good, Lauren. This next piece was a lino cut diptych that I made in the same semester before I graduated. It is about a Latin American myth representing the mountains that surround Mexico City. On the left, you see a proud and enigmatic chieftain looking upon the chaos and destruction that his reign would have wrought. On the right, you see a very chaotic and rageful god looking upon the destruction and rage that he ensued. And at the very top and at the very bottom, like the three main protagonists of the story, which is two rival princesses, I'm not sure on the terminology, two rival males, and at the very top, a female who, at a consequence of a very convoluted plan, not convoluted, I'm not sure what the word is, but anyway, she essentially committed suicide by throwing herself off the pyramid after receiving news that her fiance or her promised husband-to-be was killed in battle. And if you guys have any questions or anything regarding the legend in and of itself, just be sure to look up Popocatépetl and Ixtaccíhuatl. They are the mountainous or volcanoes, I think, that's around Mexico City. It's a really touching love story, if you guys are interested. And this whole process took me about a good month and a half, about. And the original idea was to plug in 20 layers, but I only managed to plug in 10. Hopefully the detail comes out. I'm not sure if it does, but
10 layers is still pretty impressive, Joaquin.
Thanks, Lauren. And hopefully you guys enjoy it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed both pieces.
Cool. So, thanks, Joaquin.
No problem.
Okay, let's see. Eve, are you there?
Here, can you hear me?
Yay, we can hear you. All right, I'm gonna get your image pulled up. All right, go for it.
Okay, these two I did in Jason's class. One was process sculpture, the first one, and it was sheet metal, the wire from the MIG welder, and I think that's all the materials I have. I twisted the wire to make the trees and then unraveled them to make the ends of the branches, smaller branches. And welded the wire on with, the grass on as little pieces of wire, which was funny because they all burned up, a lot of them burned up. But anyway, the idea behind this is, it's called December Reflections. And the idea is, you have your own self, you have yourself. You see your own self-image inside your head is going to be different from what other people see you as. But in this case, the tree's reflection on the water, it's distorted by not just your view of yourself, but outside forces and things that happen to you in your life. And so the rings that are coming through are things that happen to you. The wiggly lines are, you see yourself different than other people see you, your own inner image. But the reflections were, I cut them with a plasma cutter, and then I built up the rings with the MIG welder, and I guess that's about all for that. But it's pretty big, and it's barely three-dimensional, I guess, because the trees are three-dimensional, but it's up on the wall. But, and then my survivor sculpture was the lost wax cast bronze, and I did a mold of my hand, straining really hard to reach the chemo bell. This represents my journey to ringing the chemo bell for one of the cancers I survived. And the clapper for the bell is a casting of the port that I had. And then the bell I turned, on a pottery wheel. I turned the bell and then made a mold from that, and then did the wax. And then the rod, the tube that holds it like a chemo pole, comes back into the hand as if it's IV going into the arm. And sort of symbolic. I mean, it's personally symbolic of my chemotherapy, journey, but it's also representative of just, you know, the universal struggling to reach a goal, you know, because everybody has that, and everybody has hard things that they go through, and whatever, the hardest thing you've ever been through is the hardest thing you've ever been through, you know, even if it's, you know, doesn't seem like it compared to somebody else's, it's hard. It's the hardest thing you've been through. So just, you know, keep reaching. And then these are both on velvet. The top one is on orange velvet, and oh my gosh, I may have sent an incomplete image. Incomplete one, because the hair actually gets finished in the last one. Oops. But anyway, so it's pretty much monochromatic. One of the coolest things I found from painting on velvet, I started with black velvet. The coolest thing I found was that with a nap on the velvet, it depends, you know, which way you do the brush gives you a totally different effect. And, you know, sometimes you get more paint on and sometimes it wipes it off, you know, and the top one is, I think, about 24 by 30, 40, 48. It's pretty big. And then the one below is, since I was starting with just plain colored velvet, I thought it might be fun to try and dye the velvet and make it whatever color I wanted. And so I really wanted to do this sunrise photo of my grandfather's cabin on their family ranch, the Squirm Ranch. And you can see there's sort of a blue sky that connects the cabin to Storm Mountain. And it was a photo I took out there. But I tried probably 6 or 7 different ways to dye the velvet. And it started with a cream color. And I ended up with the 4th or 5th version, I can't remember which one now, that I like to get the background color, sort of a mixture of all the colors in the sky. I just got a wet rag and sort of moved it all around. And then, like, in the lower right-hand corner, you can see that it's like, it's multicolored velvet and very little paint on it. So it's actually something that, unless you see it up close, it's hard to tell. A lot of that color is just the color on the velvet. That is kind of hard to describe it, not seeing it in person. But it was it was a really fun experiment. So.
Cool, thanks for sharing, Eve. All right, our next person is going to be Stephanie Sanchez. Hey, Stephanie.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yep.
Cool.
I'm going to get your work pulled up here.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry, hang on just a second. Okay.
Okay, so I'm a graphic design major, so the pieces that were picked of mine are all going to be digital illustrations. The one on the left, actually, I made it just for fun because I was taking Jason's sculpture class and we had that stone carving assignment, which was insane. And I really liked, once we did the project, I started looking up more sculptures. And so it kind of inspired that one. And then I had it where just the head was kind of floating on the background and I wanted to add some more details to it. So I added the other little circles and the letter in the background. For the one on the right, around that time, I was playing around more with Illustrator with the tools that I had learned in the graphic design class. And I like photographing portraits. So I thought I would translate that into my design work since I was just starting off. So I would use references just to kind of practice drawing girls, not on paper, but on a computer. And then with her, I had just her. And then again, I didn't want it to just be her by herself. So I started adding the details like the crown. I wanted it to look more like sketched or like kind of a sketch style to it. But yeah, so I did those mostly for fun. With these two, it was the same thing. I ended up getting more practice drawing girls, which I found I have a lot of fun with. And Aksa actually helped me out with this one because she saw me resizing the prints and she mentioned that it looked really cool with the leaves kind of coming off of the colored rectangles. Because originally it was kind of cropped to where it was just the gray background. But she mentioned that it looked really cool. And yeah, I agreed. I hadn't really paid attention to it, but it looked a lot better with the leaves coming off the edges. Yeah, that's it.
Cool. Thanks, Stephanie.
Mm-hmm.
Next we have Crystal Thomas. Crystal, I've unmuted you.
Hi, I don't know if everyone can hear me.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Never used my mom's laptop before. My major is studio arts, but I like to focus on painting, but recently I've done a lot of 3D electives like sculpture and ceramics, and I made this in process sculpture over the summer. Growing up, I was very, very poor, and my grandmother gave my mom this amazing China set, and it just the irony of our situation combined with these beautiful, elegant things always stuck with me. And I'm not much for fine dining. I'll eat off a paper plate. I don't really care. But these China sets that we have, they just, I don't know. And so I wanted to make one out of wood, give it a different spin. It's actually 2 pieces of pecan wood from a tree that got cut down in my front yard. And I hand carved them with chisels to take off the outside bark. And I loved the swirling and the inner colors. And I used Dremels to help shape the sides of the teapot and to open the cups. And then I used sandpaper to smooth all the edges. And the only other thing I used to make them was for the smaller cup, I had to cut in where the handle would be with a bandsaw, which was very nerve-wracking, but everything came out great. So, yeah.
Cool. Thanks, Crystal. Eric, are you here?
Yes.
You ready to talk about your work?
Sure.
Okay. Let me get it on the screen.
My name is Eric Zelaya. I'm a graphic design major. And this is my work. It is a etching. I made this in printmaking with Lauren. I guess I should talk about where this came from. So I was just kind of recently, I started drawing, and I'm a graphic design major, so I shouldn't just recently have started drawing. So I've been kind of really, really adamant about learning to draw and getting good at drawing and learning how to create characters and define pieces by using certain curved lines or vertical lines and things like that, just because they're concepts I've never really thought about as an artist. my main focus for a long time has been video production, and then recently I shifted it over towards learning to draw because I thought it would be really important as a graphic designer, oddly enough. So these were doodles that I was doing, but recently I've kind of started doing a lot more work with characters. And this concept itself is, it's called Keep Smiling, just like a very exaggerated, awkward, kind of odd looking smile, because I don't know, I feel like that's what we all kind of look like. We're all kind of like, it's almost like we're all fake smiling through something, right? So I just feel like they're almost always disingenuous smiles to begin with. So I kind of drew them disingenuous, right? Yeah, and then kind of it free flows, right? As a composition. The one on the left is, you can see it a little bit more clearly, I would say, than the colored piece. But you can see that they're just kind of floating heads and they're not really attached to anything else. And then there are like levels of it, right between the floating heads, and then there's like a pill, a tombstone, some French fries. I think there's a joint and like a coffee mug. And those are just like subtle addictions that I feel like a lot of people kind of have, that we subliminally put into our regular day life, like a cup of coffee, like that caffeine, you need it to get yourself going. So that keeps you smiling. French fries keep you smiling. Thinking about death keeps you smiling. Taking your Xanax, your Prozac, or whatever, your Zoloft, whatever it is, that would be the pill, right? It's just stuff that we put in our regular day schedule that keeps us moderately sane. But yeah, so that's what all that is. I think that's all I got.
Cool, thanks, Eric.
For sure.
All right, Angela.
Oh, I'm up.
Let me get your image up here.
Okay, give me 1 second. I gotta tell my family to be quiet for a moment. Can y'all be quiet for a moment? I'm presenting now. Sorry. I went outside and they decided to come with me.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm Angela Russo. I am a graphic design major like everybody else. The first image is called Bunny Witch. I actually first made that in 2018 as an Inktober design for the word, I think, magical. And then I later improved it and made it better in Illustrator and Photoshop for my, I think it was called digital illustration class. The background image is actually a little bit of cement that I used for texture. It's a lot grainier in person, and the clouds were also made in Photoshop using the smear tool, the smudge tool. I added the dragon in because I thought it would help off balance it and make it look a little bit more interesting. I didn't put as much detail because I wanted the main focus to be the bunny wizard. The other one is a comic book page from, I came up with the title Tales of Bait, which is about a goblin who is tied up by some hunters trying to catch a very dangerous creature that's in the woods. And they find out the dangerous creature is actually this woman. And so she actually befriends Bait and actually frees him after slaughtering the hunters that dare to hurt him and try to do this thing to use him as bait, because he is not very bright and he thought that they were calling him Bait and that was his name. The characters actually bait is actually based off of a D&D character I have. And I thought of the woman later for the tail. She evolved from this very like cartoony looking woman with the red lips and like the very I can't say words, extenuated body with the big bust and big hips, but I wanted to tone that down and kind of make it easier to draw and probably not focus so much on her sexuality, but more of who she is, which is like a nature spirit. And I made other pictures of them, but this was definitely my favorite page. I liked all the greens in it, and Bates' like slight off color of green is very nice to me. Other than that, those are my pieces.
Cool. Thanks for sharing, Angela.
No problem. Thank you.
Okay, Taylor? Are you there, Taylor?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Cool.
I'm gonna get your images pulled up.
So I'm an art and design studio major, and this is my triptych that was entered into the BFA show. So all of these pictures I made digitally with minimal digital manipulation. I did touch it up in like Lightroom to just kind of get the colors and everything how I wanted. But the way that I created this was using a piece of glass that I was able to take my garden hose and stream water on it. And from there, I took pictures through the water, sort of like as a reflection of either like the surroundings, or in the right one, it was just on top of the grass, so you can kind of see the grass in the sky. Yeah, so like what I want to like really communicate with my art is sort of like kind of like the importance of having that sense of peace that you can attain through viewing art. And I think that art is a product of the collective, and in that sort of it should be created to like benefit other people. And everything I've learned is channeled through my art, and other people as well work, and they work on their own voice. And yeah, I took these different times of the day. The top left one was taken at dusk, and the bottom one was taken in the middle of the day, and the one on the right was taken in the morning. So I sort of have this kind of cycle of like time as well that's displayed through the triptych. And yeah.
Cool, thanks, Taylor.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
All right, so we are done a little bit early with all the presentations. So I think what I'm gonna do is, since we have some extra time, is to go ahead and show Daryl's other movie so that you guys can all see it. So hang on just a second, and then we'll get that pulled up. And just wanted to say thanks to everybody for participating. This has been great. So I'm gonna show Daryl's other video, and then we'll do the awards right after that.
Gamarra. Wait, what?
Oh, hell yeah, let's do this thing.
You too? Man, am I the only one who thinks this is stupid?
Yeah.
See, even Kara wants to do this. Yeah, whatever. All right.
Got everything?
Yeah, looks like, according to the list, we have everything we need. We have the box full of paper, we have the red roses, and we have the symbol for helmet face.
All right, looks like we got everything. I'm excited.
Yeah, I still don't think this is a real thing.
Whatever, Ron. Even if this thing isn't real, what's the real harm, really? I mean, the worst thing that could happen is nothing.
That's what I said. Look, Ron, if you don't want to do it, that's fine. Just do it ourselves. Just don't be a sourpuss.
Like hell, I'll leave you guys. Whatever, let's just do it.
Okay? Let's form a circle. We have to hold hands. Okay. The paper had it. Invoki tegalufashi. Vidermi invoca.
Dude, fake it.
What?
Sounds like fake Latin.
Ron, shut up. Don't interrupt him.
Yeah, it's not true Latin. My friend's brother's cousin called it a bastardized version or something. Look, just let me finish. Now stop talking. Invoki tegalufashi. Vider mi invoca. Et gravitier mi vie. Invoki tegalufashi. Vider mi invoca. Et gravitier mi vie. Invoki tegalufashi. Vider mi invoca. Et gravitier mi vie.
Dude, is this supposed to happen?
Yeah, man, I'm freezing my ass off.
Yeah, the chill's expected, but this feeling. Oh, shit.
What?
Shit, what the hell went wrong? I thought I got everything. Faith. I think we needed a human sacrifice for the offering.
Shit, Jacob, what the fuck? I thought he was supposed to appear to something.
I thought so too. It's because we messed up.
No, you messed up. I can't believe this is real.
I told you so. We should split up to confuse them.
I doubt that will work, but anything to get away with it.
Can't argue with that.
Run. Oh, no. What's your measurement? Time. Turn back time. So be it. Ronnie, guess what? What?
Sorry, I messed that up, guys. My bad. Daryl sent through the address for it, so you can go back and rewatch it from the beginning. Okay, so I want to go ahead and announce the awards for this year's BFA. And I'm going to get my slides up here. So I have each image that was selected. Okay. So we're going to start first with an honorable mention for Alejandro Ramos for his McLaren P1. So congrats, Alejandro, for your honorable mention. Woohoo! In third place is Stephanie Sanchez for her 2 pieces within and 1 and 2. So woohoo, Stephanie. Second place goes to Joaquin Reyes for his monotype pieces, self-portrait Smog. First place goes to Rodrigo Gamarra for La Pieta. Congrats, Rodrigo. And the best of show this year goes to Eve Maulsby for December Reflections. Congratulations, Eve. The faculty were super excited to be able to select these awards, and we're really proud of all of you guys. So congrats to the award winners and congrats to the whole BFA class. And thanks again so much, you guys, for doing this. This was really fun, and it was nice to see everybody. And since we got done a little bit early, if anyone wants to hang out and do kind of like an after party and just hang out, visit a little bit, then that'd be cool. I can hang out for a little bit longer. And anyone that wants to, and I can make it so you can unmute yourself. And anybody that wants to can just hang out and visit. So anyone that wants to can unmute themselves. I think I made it that way. So everyone, yeah. Hey, Jason.
Hey guys, Jason here. I want to say congratulations to all you guys. Y'all did a great job. I know it's a hard situation we're all in, not to have that physical show right now, but for y'all to be able to get together and get images to Lauren. Thank you, Lauren and Stuart and all the other faculty to help get you organized on this. But guys, give yourselves a pat on the back. Congratulations. Enjoyed working with all y'all. And if I never got to, I'm sorry we missed that opportunity. But wish y'all the best as y'all move forward. And if you still got a couple classes left, I will see you around when hopefully everything gets back to normal. So y'all stay safe and healthy, and congratulations to y'all.
Yeah, and I recorded this, so it's going to be on the conference site for any family members that might want to log in and see this, or any friends that you want to share this with.
Hi, Lauren. Hi, everybody.
Hey.
I'm Pilar Goyarzu from the Student Conference, and I really want to congratulate all of you, the artists and the sponsors, for such a beautiful exhibition and for sharing your inspirational work with the UHCL community. Thank you so much. We will, like Lauren said, it has been recorded, and we will keep it in the Student Conference website, and we will let you know how can you access. Thank you so much for your beautiful work. It was inspirational. Thank you.
Thanks, Pilar.
Well, can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
It was so great seeing everybody and everybody's work, and I miss everybody in the place, and I don't know, I just miss everything about being in school. But this was really great. It was really great that you could get all this together, and you know, it's really impressive how you know, we all learn a way to get around all of our challenges right now. I wish I could be back there with y'all.
Stuart, do you know the conference site link? Can you share that in the chat? Because I don't know that off the top of my head. Okay, we'll email the link out.
Yeah, that's correct. We're still working on the website links, and we will email it to everybody as soon as we have it. It will be an email, and Stuart will make sure everybody gets it, and we will too.
Great.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Hey guys, Daryl here. I would just like to thank everyone for being here, and special thanks to Lauren and the faculty for hosting and putting this together. And unfortunately, I have to go since I have a class and I have to prepare for that. And yeah, it's really nice to see everyone's art, and really proud of y'all. Thank you. Bye, guys.
Thanks, Daryl. Sorry I messed up your video.
No, it's fine. I posted the link, so.
Okay, cool.
It's also a shameless plug for my YouTube channel, which doesn't really have a lot, but you know.
Oh, it's cool.
Okay. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Hey, I just wanted to say thank you to Lauren and to all the faculty for figuring out a way to still be able to put everything up. And especially thank you to Lauren for your patience with me and technology. I have been so delayed with everything. I have not been getting group me messages for weeks now, and I'm like, oh, all these people are messaging me. Uh-oh. But thank you
right
again.
there with you, Angela. So
yeah,
we're all sort of in the same boat.
Yeah, but I do appreciate your patience with me. And thank you to everybody. I'm going to hop off so I can go do some homework. Y'all have a good day though, okay?
You too. Bye.
Bye.
Dude.